Hi, everyone. Welcome to Free Thinkers Fireside, where we put the human and humanist one cozy chat at a time. My name is Helen, also known as Hell's Bells. So, my wonderful friend Steve is here from Recovering from Religion to talk about humanism. I'm not going to attempt to say his last name. He can do that for himself. So, hi, Steve.
Hey, Helen, how's it going? So nice to see you. It's been so long since we've actually seen each other.
I know. I'm so glad you're here. I missed you.
Yeah. I think the last time we saw each other in person was probably like over a year ago, maybe even longer, a year and a half.
I think it was the first excursion I went to in 2023. So yeah, it's been over a year. Wow, holy shit.
Wow. Yeah, time flies. Like, what is time?
It's an illusion, but a persistent one.
So yeah, I'm Steve Ghikadis. That's how you pronounce it, but
Ghikadis.
yeah, you can call me whatever you want. Some people call me Cicada, so it is what it is.
So tell the people who you are, what you do, all that wonderful stuff.
Well, I guess the first thing people should know about me is that I'm a Canadian. So just like you had guests the other week from BajaCon, they're also Canadian, but I do too much. I'm literally swamped all the time with things. I'm the ambassador program director at Recovering from Religion. I'm the current president of Sunday Assembly Detroit. I'm a humanist officiant, so I conduct weddings, funerals, many meaningful celebrations from a humanist perspective. I'm an author, all those things. Too many things.
So tell the people. So I didn't know you were. I didn't know you were doing like the Sunday Assembly stuff. Like when did you start doing that? I thought, or you did tell me and I forgot because I probably did.
Well, it's funny because I actually got invited to do, like, during the pandemic, I got to do a virtual presentation for Sunday Assembly Detroit with Recovering from Religion, and when everything opened back up again, I think it was like 2022, they were like, oh, we're going to start doing in-person things again. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. So I went and checked it out for one weekend. And then I was hooked. I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep coming. And I just kept coming. And I'm like, oh, it should be part of the board. And then I became an outreach officer. And I was
yeah, that's how it all happened.
Yeah, eventually they're like, well, you might as well just become the president. And I'm like, sure, I guess.
Sure. So I think that's really, really cool. That you got involved doing that. So tell the people about your new book that I need a copy of. I need to buy and get it signed and get it delivered to my house. Are
you going to NanoCon?
No, I'm going. The only thing I only can do so much during the year, and my vacation this year for atheist activism, I'm going to Beckruz and Austin for the ACA. So
that's like the Mecca, that we have to travel to at least once in our lifetime, is get to the.
Yeah, exactly. So because all the atheists are going to be there. So, and as a volunteer for the atheist community of Austin, I have to be there. Hi, Jason. Yeah. Hi, John.
So. And, I mean, at least you'll get to see Elliot, right? Because he'll probably be there. So I get to see him at NanoCon. And
yeah, I saw everybody that's going, and I'm pissed.
Oh yeah,
I won't be there. I'm like, all my bitches are going to be there, and where am I? I'm not going to be there.
Yeah. So anyway, what I was going to say is, if you were going to be there, I could get you a book there. But yeah. So I'm married to a Christian, and it's funny because throughout the majority of my life, I was an apatheist, which is a term that a lot of people don't really know. But I was apathetic to theism. I couldn't care less if there was a God. I didn't really think of one. I never really was raised that way. And when I met my wife, religion was a thing for her, but it didn't seem like a big deal until we, got married, and her parents said, like, oh, we're so glad she met someone who believes the same thing she does. And I just was thinking to myself, like, now I feel like a wolf in sheep's clothing for duping people into thinking that I'm a believer when I'm really not. And how am I now going to be able to talk to people who are religious in my life, including my wife, and especially because we were about to have our first child, and I'm like, how are we going to raise this child? So I started doing some research and found Anthony Magnabosco, who is a street epistemologist, And street epistemology is basically a method of having cordial conversations without raising the hackles on someone's neck, by being cordial and asking questions in a Socratic manner. And I studied that a lot, and I use those techniques. And I stumbled across Dale McGowan as well, who has an amazing library of books on parenting in a secular family, in an interfaith family, and then relationships. And I'm like, I lived it. So I started going through all these techniques and built a really strong foundation for my family. And then I'm like, I'm going to share how I was able to do that and kind of make a memoir of things for people to follow along with. And luckily for me, Anthony Magnabosco actually wrote the foreword to my book, which is awesome. And Dale McGowan and David Fitzgerald both contributed to a little blurb on the back. So
that's awesome. Yay.
Yours, David Fitzgerald, on the back of my book too. So that's awesome.
That's awesome. David's the best. He good people. I love him. Yeah. So what inspired you to write this book?
It was basically my relationship with my wife and just trying to find a way to bridge the gap between our belief systems, because you really, and I mentioned this in the book too, it's like when you really dig down, we have so many commonalities. We probably agree on 99% of everything. We just disagree on how the universe came to be. And that's a pretty small thing when you think about it, because nobody really knows. So why fight over it?
Fair. I get into those conversations a lot on because every Tuesday I do a TikTok live and I talk to people through the ACA, and usually the conversation I'm having, if they're not young Earth creationists or whatever, it is like, how do we get our morals and how do we be good people? And I go, are you being kind to people at the end of the day? And they go, yes. And I'm like, that's all that matters. Doesn't really matter what anything else does not matter. So,
now you can push my book off on them, and then if they burn it, they can just buy another one, So
exactly. I'll off your book. you should buy my friend Steve's book. So I'll start putting the links out.
And the cool part is I have a lot of funny stories in there too. Like a lot of it, it's called Humanism from the Heart. I'll show you the cover of it. I don't know if you can see that with the blurring effect here, but basically, it's me in shadow form leaning against the tree with the heart on it. But anyway, it says Humanism from the Heart, building bridges beyond belief. And it's, there's a lot of funny elements to it that I kind of retell some stories through my childhood of when I came into interaction with religion. And one of the stories is actually pretty funny because it's called Kung Fu Fuckery. And it was when I was a kid, I was going through all these different martial arts, and eventually I got to Kung Fu, and I'm like, this is cool. I know Kung Fu. And I would have known Kung Fu if the dojo I had belonged to wasn't a front for extreme Christian evangelism. They had us, after our lessons, they would have us sit in the living room, and they'd start a fire in the middle of the living room, tell us to write down our sins on a piece of paper and then burn them. So I didn't know what to do, because I'm like, I wasn't raised this way. I don't know what to do. So I'd write down, I wish I was better at Kung Fu, and then I'd burn it in the fire. And then we'd breathe in the smoke to cleanse our spirit and stuff. And I ended up doing a camp for a week, and I was staying in this cabin, and it was just really weird. There was a lot of weird things going on. They had a Muslim guy come and they were fighting at the campfire of whose God is better than whose God. And it was just like this really weird thing. And I'm like, I need to escape here. So I came up with this story that my grandma was sick. So I'm like, okay, first thing in the morning, I'm going to get out of here before they make their way down this windy road. And there's only one way that you can get in. So I got everything packed up really early. I left. And as I was getting out, they were right there. I'm like, shoot. So I got out and I'm like, yeah, my grandma's really sick and I got to go. And they both looked at each other and kind of looked back at me, and they're like, you can go as long as you don't tell anyone what's going on here. Because they had this wooden box, like giant box in the middle of the forest in this like buttfuck little town in the middle of nowhere. And they were making us carry these stones to put on this thing. They said, Jesus is coming back to this temple in the middle of the woods. And so, like, that's where he's coming back to, that specific place. Yeah. So kind of weird. They said, like, you can go as long as you don't tell anybody anything. I'm like, sure. Yeah. And I'm like, I said sure, but I was thinking other 4-letter words in my head, like fuck, right? Right. A couple weeks later, I completely ghosted the place. A couple weeks later, I get this letter in the mail and it has their watermark on it. And it's got all these pictures inside. And it's pictures of me doing this and pictures of me doing that. Pictures of me sleeping in the cabin. And I'm like, and it's like a little note saying, oh, we hope your family issues are better. Hopefully you come back soon. So I write about this chapter I write a chapter about this in my book. And I say at the very end, neither Jesus nor I are returning to that place.
Yeah, that's great. That's wild.
Oh yeah. So there's a couple
That's
stories.
wild. Well, so what was it? Just like a weird little like kung fu / Jesus cult? Like, like what is that?
Yeah, like in the hometown that I grew up it was like just a couple towns over, and they would have like Tai Chi classes for people in the park. So it just seemed like a regular type place, but behind the scenes, they were very Jesus-y. It was really weird.
That's a special type of weird. Wow. Wowie. Wow. So I did put the link for your book in the chat, and it's in the doobly doo. So yes, that did the thing. So how does your wife feel about, like, because you did a really great presentation, but it's up on the YouTube channel for Recovering from Religion. She did a really great talk about his marriage and living as people that are interfaith and raising kids, and it was really wonderful. I cried. It was
to be fair, though, we all cried. Every single one.
We all did. We all cried. It was we were all trauma bonding. It was great. It was just great. We did. It was very sincere and sweet, and I thought it was wonderful. So so now that you're a published author and fancy, like, how's your wife feeling about all that and everything?
So she's really proud of me. She's really happy now. There was a time where I was writing the book and I wasn't really telling her about it because I'm like, oh, I'm just writing all these little chapters, I guess but they were more of like a blog on Medium. And I actually started writing for Medium because of Recovering from Religion. I was kind of writing little blog posts here and there. But then when I started kind of going off on my own and writing my own blogs about these experiences I've had in the past, I just thought, like, maybe I should collect all of these and put them together in a book, because people were kind of commenting and saying, like, these kind of sound like they were stories from a book. So I put it together, and I posted a thing on Facebook saying, I'm writing a book if anyone from high school or my past has any fun stories that they can remember. And someone reached out to me and said, hey, you probably don't know who I am because I'm using a pen name, but I grew up with you and I'm a pretty big author and I would like to edit your book. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And she's like, and I'm like, how much do I owe you? And she goes, oh, I'll do it for free. And I'm like, oh, really? Okay. So she did it. And
wow.
She's like, this is garbage. This is not good at all. and I'm like, what? Like, I was completely crushed. And she's like, yeah, like she's like, these are good stories. And like, there's a lot of funny things, but like, there's no theme that goes from the beginning to the end. It's just a bunch of random thoughts. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like maybe I should come up with a way to kind of bridge them all together. And I was doing work with Humanist Canada, and I came up with this idea for a segment on the podcast called Humanism from the Heart. It just kind of came out of my mouth, and I'm like, wow, that's a really cool idea. I should call my book that, because that kind of bridges everything together. It's humanism from the heart. Like, all these stories are from the heart. And when I started, putting them down on paper in that theme, it really went together well. And when she looked at it again, she goes, oh yeah, okay, now you're onto something. You got something good here. And so then she ended up using her program Vellum to put it all together into like an actual book format for me. And she's helped me so much for free, and it's like unbelievable.
That's cool.
Yeah. But my wife, at first, when it was actually her cousin's husband who said, oh, you're writing a book, and it was at like a family dinner. And I'm like, yeah. And everyone kind of looked at me like, what? Like, nobody had heard that I was doing this, because I was kind of keeping it under wraps. Her family is religious still, right? So and the book itself, like, you would never suspect me of being like anti-religious by any means, because it's a book about getting along with people regardless what your background is. But I was just kind of nervous as to how people would take it. And when Cindy said, like, my wife, she said, I want to read it first before it goes out. And I'm thinking, like, oh man, like, sure, I want her to read it really badly, but I also don't want her to read it, because I don't want her to be confronted by these things that she doesn't want to be confronted by. because that was one of the things that we discussed along the way, is that, we don't really want to talk about religion too much because it could cause all these problems. But she read it and she was like, wow, like, you've done a really good job at demonstrating the way our family operates, and being really respectful to religion, all religions, and she was really happy with it by the end.
That's great, because I know, like, when we first became friends and stuff, like, you were reluctant even telling her that you're involved with RFR,
Yeah.
and then over the past 4 years to go through all this change, and her being like, in your corner, it's very, like, sweet, and I dig it. I mean, that's great.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's been an experience. Yeah, for a while I was reluctant to tell her about it because recovering from religion sounds worse than it actually is. Because
Yeah,
you have to say, like, I work for recovering from religion, but before you go anywhere, it's not about converting people. It's about providing a shoulder to cry on.
You always, whenever you, like, you have to come with this disclaimer, like, okay, well, yeah, like, hold on. Like, here's the disclaimer. We meet people where they're at. Like, exactly. That's all it is.
Why do I have to recover from religion? I'm like, well, you don't have to if you don't want to.
Right. It's like, well, have you been traumatized by religion? No, probably don't need to recover from it. So, and I've gotten into, like, this, like, a sort of space lately where, like, deconstruction doesn't mean, like, you let go of belief. You can just, like, deconstruct and be like, oh, maybe, like, you can believe in a God, but maybe the religion was kind of, like, shitty, and I think it can be both. And I think it, especially in, like, religious circles where deconstruction is a dirty word, because it means, like, oh, you want people to become atheists, and I'm like, no, I just want them to think. Like, and if a structure is a bad structure, it's a bad structure. So, and that's more important, because people are more important. Even if you have a belief, I believe people are more important. So
yeah, exactly. And I think part of the thing that I always think of too is that, like, I would, if you're religious, I would rather you be progressive about your religion, right? Like, be inclusive to people. So it's like, if you're going to continue to be religious, that's cool. Don't harm other people, and include everyone, like LGBTQIA community, and, like, just don't judge people for who they are.
Yeah, I think that's, I don't know if it's like us in the new atheism movement. Like, I feel like it's such a weird thing, because, like, there's always been atheists. It's just that we're very mouthy. So, because we have social media now, like, there's always been atheists. It's just that we have social platforms now, and it's a lot easier for people to look up this information and hear opinions and all that type, all these type of things that we're involved in, and that's a good thing. But when I, like, with new atheism, I'm like, are we just saying, like, don't be a dick? Like, it's like, just all of us over here, like, don't be mean to people.
Yeah, and that's basically in my book too. At the end, I basically, it's like, don't be a dick, right? And that's the biggest message. And I always kind of start my presentations that way too. When I do a presentation, I just say, here, I have to share this quote with you, and I put "don't be a dick" up on the thing, and I say, okay, thank you so much for having me here. That's my presentation. And I jokingly conclude, and then I actually
I think that's great. I'm sweatshirt, use the waste sweatshirt. I'm gonna toss it on my bed. Anyway,
so you threw the fire there.
Right, I threw it into the fire. It's gonna burn now. So I don't mean, it's 95 degrees here. I don't need it. I do not. I live in Florida, or Satan's asshole. So, but I feel like Satan's asshole would be more fun than living in Florida. Just saying.
Well, there's actually a hell mission.
Like, I just have a feeling. I can't prove it, but it's a feeling. And your feelings are valid.
Have you heard of Hell, Michigan?
I've heard of it because Kelly from the ACA doesn't live too far from, because he lives in Norway, but Hell's not too far. I love saying Hell's not far from Norway.
Well, I'm in the elephant's trunk of Ontario, so I'm literally beneath Detroit, so I have to go north to go to Detroit. So like the song "Don't Stop Believin'" by Journey, when they say born and raised in South Detroit, they're talking about like where I live.
Oh, okay.
And basically, so I drive up into Detroit, and then I go towards Ann Arbor to get to Hell. And it's funny because I reached out to Kelly one day, and I'm like, "Hey, Kelly, like I'm in your neck of the woods. Like, can we meet up? Can I come to your rock shop?" And he's like, "Yeah, sounds good." And I look it up on my Google map, and I'm like, "Oh man, this is like 9 hours away." I'm like, "Never mind." Not today. It's just as far for me to drive to Kelly's house than it is to drive to Nashville from my house. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm gonna have to do like a Google Maps and just like look like Google Earth and look where this fucking town is.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, I'm really close to, like, I'm only 4 hours away from Chicago, and like I'm only like 3 hours away from like Cleveland. Like, it's just weird. I'm in like a weird spot in Canada.
Where you're kind of it's kind of like Florida. Like every place you can drive in Florida is about 6 to 8 hours.
Oh yeah,
you know, you're just in one of those central locations. Yeah.
So you have a really cool aquarium where you are.
There's the one that we're near is the Milton Marine one, and they're building a new one, which I'm really excited about. That does a bunch of a lot of marine biologist work, and they did a lot of work of like understanding like red tide in my state. And then there's another really nice one. There's another aquarium in Tampa that's really cool.
Okay.
So the Tampa aquarium is badass. So just saying. Which one were you referring to? Because there's several.
I was in the one in Sarasota, so I'm not sure what that one is. Is that the first one you mentioned?
That's Mo.
Okay. Yeah, that one's really cool. They have like the otters and like the sea otters, and they come up and like put their hands through, and you can feel their hands and stuff. It's so cute.
Yeah, that is very cool. Yeah, that one's so. We've had like the Mo Marine one's really cool, but they're building a new facility because the last facility was damaged during Irma, I think. So they had to build a new facility, and this one is actually it kind of worked out because it's going to be, they kind of needed to upgrade. So they're getting all the new things. So that's really cool. So I dig it.
The last time I was in Florida, it was actually in Tampa, and there was a hurricane. It was Hurricane Betty or Debbie or something like that. Yeah, Debbie. Yeah, she was a mean one.
I'm very happy. Like I'm not gonna say like we had a Cat 4 last year, and I bought my new house. It was pretty nice. Like when you can't even hear wind. Like you wouldn't know there's a hurricane outside. And then we lost power. I want to say around like 11:30, and then I went to bed, and then I realized when I woke up in the morning my AC was on, and I'm like, what? And then other parts were like completely damaged, like, you know, total destruction. And so I, for lack of a better term, I feel blessed.
Yeah.
I feel blessed by 2025 new house, hurricane protection technology, and architects and people that understand physics and stuff.
Yeah. So. I don't know numbers. I'm glad they do.
Yeah, I'm always like, okay, like you're big brain, you know math, because I don't do math. It's like it's one of those things. Like I know that I'm intelligent and smart, but then when people like understand math in a way that I don't conceptualize, I'm like, you have a much bigger brain than I do. You're so smart.
Yeah, I definitely think that we all like have our own talents and things that are, you know, intuitive to us, and then other people have other things. Because my oldest son is like a math whiz, and I'm like the farthest thing from it. Like he would have to help me with my homework if I had any.
Oh yeah, my oldest, like they were going to go to pharmacy school, and they love it, and they were always like the straight A kid, you know, until they got to college and they took organic chem, and they had to take it 3 times because it kicked their butt. They're like, I don't. Because when everything comes easy to you, and then you get into that one class that is usually organic chemistry, where everybody's like the average is like a C maybe. So it's kind of amazing, but they just conceptualize things. They're like, I'm gonna become a pharmacist, and I was like, okay. And then we were like having discussions about the things that they're learning. And I was just like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, I have no
I'm the same
idea.
boat. My wife's a pharmacist, so that stuff's way over my head.
Yeah. I'm like, thank the God that doesn't exist for pharmacists because better living through chemistry. So
Legal drug dealers.
yeah, exactly. So it's just very fun. It's just very funny. I know that I have certain talents and things that I pride myself on, but it was really funny. Like somebody said, like I was talking about like some kind of like psychology concept. Like I think I was um talking about like different parts of the brain and why these certain parts interact with each other, and then why we have certain perceptions and ideas. And this person goes, "Wow, you know a lot," and I was like, "This is like surface," because I don't know a lot because there's people way smarter than me that are doing all the work. So
well, we're very similar. Like I think that we're really curious in so many different fields that we look into like the bare minimum of each field so we can talk a little bit about it, but not like in depth. And I think I chalk it up to, I think I'm undiagnosed ADHD personally. And it's kind of funny because
you probably are. You just joined the club of all of us.
And it's funny because if you read my book, like each chapter, normally chapters are like maybe 10, 12, 13 pages. Mine are like 1 or 2 pages, maybe 5 or 6 pages. Like they're kind of all over the place. And it's just a lot of different random thoughts. And it's funny because people that have been giving me reviews, they're just saying like, it's so easy to read and it's such a cool way to read it because it's like jumping all over from different ideas and people seem to appreciate that. So
it's very easy. It's really funny though, because I was conceptualizing like if I was going to write a book. This is really funny because I was thinking about like you were coming on the show this week and I have a very long commute. So I talk to myself in my car and I have random thoughts that flow through my brain. And I was like, what would I write a book about? And then because I think like you, where you needed someone to be like, okay, you don't have a flow really, you have thoughts. And the thoughts have to have a narrative for it to be a book, Right. Otherwise it just looks like stream of consciousness writing, I have like conceptualizations what I would want to talk about, but I don't know how to make that happen in a way that would relate personally. But I also want to include like actual science and social issues into the book. And I haven't figured out how I'm going to make that happen. So
you should definitely have the word hell's bells in there somewhere. Like
definitely.
Yeah. Like hell's bells, and
most people think it's because of AC/DC, and I'm like, nope. I've been called hell's bells since high school. So.
Yeah. Well, and the cool part too is that we're in such a cool community that we know so many people that could contribute, right? Like there's someone who could definitely probably write you a foreword. There's somebody that could definitely give you some reviews. And the cool thing is that Elliot, like Secular Rarity, he reached out to me because he's like, I do voiceover work now. He's like, so if you want to do the audiobook,
of course
I actually considered it, but I talked to Dr. Darrell Ray, and he's like, most people want to hear the author do it because you hear the inflection in their voice, you hear like the way that it was supposed to be stated. I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. So I'm slowly recording it on my own. I'm hoping to have it out by June 6th because that's International Humanist Day. So I was wanting to have the audiobook recorded for that. But Elliot is he has an amazing voice. And if anyone is looking for like voiceover services or anything like that, he's now doing the introduction for the Street Epistemology podcast. And it sounds so professional. And it's so funny because he can kind of change his voice a little bit. And I recognize the hint of it. So I texted him, I'm like, Elliot, is this you that's doing this on here? And he's like, oh yeah, nobody's noticed that yet. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. It was funny because I was helping promote his fundraiser for Secular Rising, and he did like a little promo video that I put in front of my videos. And I'm like, he sounds really, really good here. Like, it sounded very crisp. And so I'm not surprised because also we had a comment that he might be like the second best voice other than Seth.
Oh, yeah.
That's the easiest movement because we're having competition. like Seth is the bar, like the high bar, and then all of us like, where are you on the spectrum? I am not on that spectrum. I cannot. Words are hard. Like
Words are
I
hard.
listen. Well, because I talk fast and it's just the ADHD brain. Like I have things that I need to say and I have to get them out very quickly. Just my thing. But I listen back to myself and I'm like, I totally did not say that word correctly.
Well, that's what's happened to me when I'm recording this audiobook. I'll like say a whole sentence and then later on I'll go back and listen and I'm like, did I say it like that? Like it did not sound like it when I was saying it. But anyway, it's been a bit of a project and a bit of a pain in the ass, but I'm almost through it. So
no, that's great though, because like it's also like the learning curve. Like when I first, like if you look at my very early episodes of RFRX, oh dear. And then over time I got better. That's why like after 3 years I decided to start a podcast because I felt like, okay, I can interview and have a conversation, but everybody's like my fucking friend anyway, so it doesn't really matter. like, I know everybody.
And that's the cool thing too. When I noticed that you were doing this FreeThinkers Fireside, I'm like, this is perfect for you because literally everybody in the community is your friend. And it's so funny because I'll always say to my wife, I'm always like, oh yeah, my really good friend Helen. And she's like, how do you know Helen? I'm like, from RFR and from all these other things, whatever. And I'm like, I will call somebody a really good friend if I've met them at least one time.
Right.
Everybody else is a friend, you know. But
look at my friend. One time, you're really good friend. Did you see what Cara got me for my birthday?
No.
So I have to go get the candle too, but they got me this. So, okay, this is what happened. Okay. My birthday was April 9th and we were texting. We usually do like a wine and drinking hangout. And like at least we try to do it at least once a month on a Friday night. And I happened to mention the Friday after my birthday was my birthday. Did not expect anything. I just said, oh, my birthday was this past Wednesday, blah, blah, blah. So they got me this little ghosty.
Oh, cool.
Isn't it cute? And it says, I hope we're friends until we die. Then I hope we stay ghost friends so we can scare the shit out of people. And then they got me a candle. This was like honeysuckle that says, I hope all your enemies choke on a bag of dicks. Like, and that day I had a really rough day at work and I came home and there was extra Amazon boxes in my house. And I was like, why don't we have extra Amazon boxes? And I'm like, what did I order? And then I was like, presents. And they were like, I love you, bestie. And I was like, you love me. Awesome. It was like, because they're good people. And that's, I think that is not religious. That is just like, I love you and I'm gonna send you something to make you smile, you know.
Yeah. Well, and I find that people that we've met in this community are probably some of the closest friends I've ever had, even though like maybe we don't see each other that often, but it's like we're just instant friends as soon as we, start talking on the phone or on a podcast, it's just it's the coolest experience.
Like I have to introduce you to the Apostate sisters. Have you met Patty and Nancy?
No, I haven't.
You have to meet them. They're gonna be on my channel the other May, but that was on their channel. Okay. They were also instant friends because who was it? I don't know. Somebody in this fucking community that I'm friends with was like, you need to be on the Apostate Sisters, and then I was immediately on their channel, instant friends, and now Nancy's my internet wife. Oh, that's awesome. Is this my content? Yes, this is my content. This is my show. So, I don't know what you're asking, Greg. This is my show. So, Greg, you've been here before. I'm like,
is it just you that can see the chat?
If you go to if you go to the chat bot and you see stream and private. So okay, there we go. Cool. It works the same as Streamlabs, except it's cheaper.
I am so dumb with technology. I don't know what I'm doing other than I just click around until things work.
Yeah, Jason, I was mad because they went to free flow this year, and I didn't go because it was a big thing going on a couple months ago, and I was going to go to free flow. I was, and then I didn't go, and then I found out Patty and Nancy were there, and I was very mad. And also the Punkapaste, my friend Brentley was there. John Goss, engineer, was there. Seth was there. Forrest was there, and I'm like, all my people are there. Where am I? Not fair. So I'm crunching that next year. No, they're doing the cruise next year.
No, you're going to go to free flow next year?
Well, they're doing the cruise next year. I don't know if I'm going to do the cruise. I'm not big on cruises. I did a lot of cruising when I was growing up, and it's like, I get it. You know, I think also too, like, I live in Florida near the ocean. I've been on the ocean a lot.
Well, you don't want to be stranded on a boat with a bunch of heathens, right? So.
Yeah, I mean that's where all the corruption happens, really.
Now that I can see who's in the chat, I have to do this because I do this on every podcast. Jason Freer. So Jason actually lives like maybe half an hour from me.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's cool. Apparently, like, it's right over, like, Baja Con is like right over the border. So
so it's in Sarnia, and I'm about an hour and a half, 2 hours from Sarnia. Jason's about an hour from Sarnia or so. Yeah, we're in like a triangle. So if like Sarnia is here, I'm down here, and Jason's up here.
So it's a triangle of heathenry.
No, I watched the episode with Jason and Jeff, and it was a really cool episode. It's nice to hear.
Yeah, they're very cool. I like Jason just was like, "Hey, can we talk about Baja Con?" I was like, "Sure." I was like, "You can come on our podcast." And then we talked about Hobbit feet, which was the best part of the podcast.
So I've been to Baja Con every year, but the one year, I think it was last year, I had to just show up for like one day because I think I was on a cruise with my wife for our anniversary, because it happens to fall on my anniversary. So it's like, if I'm really, really good, I can go to Baja Con, you know. But this year I booked it off. I'm going for the full experience again, and it's a great time. It's a really fun. If you could ever make it up this way. Jason says it's a triangle of heathenry, and that's exactly what it is.
I love that.
Looking forward to Baja Con though. Like, if you can ever make it, it would be really cool.
I want to go. Like, it's hard when you live in the South and you only get so much vacation time a year. And like, I'm taking probably my last flight for a while in August to go see my mom. I'm driving to Texas. So we'll see. Because I live in hell. So, as someone that lives in the United States. So, so we'll see. Like, I was like, I have to kind of fly to New Hampshire because it's only for a weekend. I don't really want to, but also my mom is 94 and I have to go see my mom. Like, them's the rules. I had to risk air traffic control fucking up to go see my mom.
Well, Jason and I are emotional support Canadians, so if you ever
I have many emotional support Canadians. I love my emotional support Canadians. I have many. So, yeah. I'm gonna collect you like Pokemon.
And your name came up at Baja Con. Was it last year or the year before? Because Phil Ferguson was there, so I was talking to him, and
oh yeah,
and he was saying that he had you on his podcast there. So
yeah, I had to have Phil on this one. I invited him. This is the thing. Like, this is the curse of ADHD. Everybody, if you are not in front of me, you do not exist. So I'll be like, "Hey, you should be on my show," and then I forget that I asked you, and then a few weeks go by, and I'm like, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah,
so I did that to Phil.
That's why I reached out to you, because I know I'm in the same vein, right? My brain works that way. It's like everything that is in my immediate vicinity exists, and everything outside of that does not exist, you know. And it's hard sometimes. Like
Ms. Non Sequitur, I invited her on my show. Did I remind myself to reach out to her on Discord to be like, "Hey, you want to be on the show?" No.
Come on, Ms. Non Sequitur, come on right now. Just hop in here.
Just. What you need, like, Helen, what I really need to do is just set up like one of those schedule calendars that connect my Gmail calendar, and people just book, and then they say, I'm going to be on this date, and I'm like, cool, just give me a thumbnail and a topic, a headshot and a topic, and I'll make it happen. Like,
Wouldn't it be amazing if you could just plug it into your brain and then it would just be in there? Like,
yeah, it would be really nice, because I get distracted. Sherry asked, like, I'm supposed to start this. Sherry from you know our Sherry. For people that do not know Sherry, Sherry is the president of RFR Australia, and I'm going to be the head of their growth, advocacy, and fundraising squad. And we had our first meeting on Friday, and I couldn't go because I was sick. And they sent me a bunch of stuff. Have I read it yet? No. Like, and it's on my email with all reminding me that it's there. Like, I keep it highlighted because, like, it's like one of those things that I'm like, Helen, you have to read this. It's important. Haven't read it yet? No.
People keep telling me use ChatGPT, so it's like, oh, just take whatever you need to learn and put it into there, whatever. But I'm like, once I open Pandora's box, like, I don't even want to go down that road.
Do you want to know how many tabs I have in ChatGPT? I have, okay, I'll look at what I have right now. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, wow.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14.
Whoa.
On random shit.
I don't know anything about it, so I'm nervous to get into that. I'm sure I'm going to have to.
Actually, this was actually, I really like it because it learns your thought pattern, the way you speak. Like, it can become very conversational, but also like I one time I was talking, I think I was talking about like fascism, and it said, I go, you can't feel, you're a computer. And they go, true, but that's how humans speak. And I was like, okay, fine.
Okay, you get a pass. You get a pass.
So, but it is like, I was having a whole, there was when I was in TikTok last night, somebody was talking about Lawrence Cross's new, the universe coming from nothing. Right. And he wrote a book on it in 2012, which I did not read. And I was like, so what is the thesis of the book? So I looked it up and then did a nice little, PowerPoint presentation, like little, cool. Like bullet point of all the things. Yeah. And it was, that's how I wrote my, my presentation for on existentialism. I used ChatGPT to give me my notes, and then I just used that instead of like actually having to write notes. That's cool. Yeah. So it's a tool. It's a tool like anything else. It learns the thing, like it knows I'm an atheist. It knows I'm a humanist. It knows that I'm going through perimenopause. Like, it knows so much about me right now. It knows I'm into weird goth shit and music.
It's actually just going and trying to typing things out.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is Helen. But because it's all pattern recognition, and it will only learn what you put into it. But it does think that things like transphobia and like racism and all that type of stuff, it's completely illogical and antithetical to human beings. So it will push back against like people that try to put that into the algorithm. So that's really interesting. So I was
darn monkey brain we have,
yeah, I know.
But so I'm one of those people, like my oldest son is the same way. It's so funny because watching him is like watching a mini me. But basically growing up, I was so afraid of things like drugs. Like I would see those like marijuana cigarette commercials and be like, no, I don't want a marijuana cigarette. Like those I didn't even drink until I had kids. And now it's like a coping mechanism, I didn't have gray hair until I had kids either, but that's a different story.
This is all hair color, baby.
I'm always afraid to go into the new thing, but I should just be less afraid of change, I guess,
It's a tool. It's just a tool, and I do like that it's a little bit more conversational because that's how like I process my thoughts. Like I said, I have conversations with myself in my car, having deep thoughts. So,
you got something that talks back. It's like prayer.
Yeah, I know. Like I answer myself too. It's really, and I'm so fascinating. I think like I don't know if it's just for ADHD people, but the sound, and silence makes me nervous. It actually causes anxiety. Like if my house is silent, I'm like, I don't like that, and I'll put on like a podcast or music, or when I sleep, there has to be like a fan on. Like I don't like silence. Like it really, really causes like an anxiety response. So if I'm like in my car, and even if I have music on, I will still kind of talk to myself because like it fills all the activity that's going on in my brain. I need to express it. And I think that like I'm trying to do like these mental exercises. And apparently my therapist says like that's not that uncommon. So
no, I feel that way too. I think, people like my wife who is like very pensive up top, like she thinks in her head a lot and doesn't speak.
That's my husband.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know how you can just be in silence.
Todd. Todd.
I need my big bear hugs.
Yeah, I know. He is the king of bear hugs. Anyway, go ahead, talk about your wife. Sorry. Well, she's very topical.
She thinks with her head a lot, and it's like she just can sit in silence. And I'm like, how are you sitting here and not talking or doing something or listening to something? Like she didn't even own.
Are you sure you don't have any? You can diagnose yourself. Todd's the same way. He's sitting in silence. He's perfectly content, not talking unless he's under the wacky tobacco. Then he won't shut up. But that being said, he's perfectly content, just sitting in. I'm like, how do you do that? I don't understand. Like my one of my right. Like my first husband was that. Yeah, how do you do that? How do you sit in silence and just like not communicate? And I'm just like, how? Yeah. It's kind of amazing. So I think that I think for people that have like a very that's sounding mean. Like I'm saying like people that are quiet don't have active brains. That sounded horrible. Oh my God. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Greg. Like fuck. Oh my God. Please.
I think it's they have an internal monologue instead of an external monologue.
Yeah, exactly. Please do not take that out.
They think internally and not externally. That's all. Yeah.
They said it. I was like, oh my God, I'm a horrible person. If there's a God, please strike me down. Oh my God, what is wrong? Anywho, this is my show, everybody. We talk about one topic and move on to other shit. Hello. Anyway, welcome to a podcast. This is the ADHD podcast. Like, I think that, like, for me, because it has to be external. Like, this is why I do this podcast too, because I'm always like having interesting conversations. And like it gets my brain, like my dopamine, like it's like, oh yes, new thought, dopamine, blah blah blah, yay, woohoo! Where people that don't have that deregulation, I'm like, that must be nice. Like where you can just sit and just think about things and internalize them. I want that ability. I want to be Professor X. Please let me do that.
Yeah, there's this movie from the early 2000s. You might remember. It's called Corky Romano with Chris Kattan, and basically he does like a bunch of coke because he like opens his bag and it flies in his face, and he's like,
oh yeah,
he gets all hyper and everything. He's like, I should buy a boat, and I'm like, how is that not normal? Like that's just my regular thoughts.
Right, exactly. One of my favorite YouTube guys. I'm a big Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. Shocking, I know, everybody. Shocking.
The original movie or the series?
The original series? Yeah, I haven't watched the new one because this is the thing. My oldest, we started watching Buffy when they were in high school, and then we got to about halfway through season 4. We're doing a rewatch, and then when we hit season 4, we have to watch Angel. because
Yes.
because it's all it's all
Yeah.
an interplay, and then we can watch a new series. But that's where we are right now. And some stuff is still holds up, and other stuff is like, ooh, early
That's so
90s,
sad about
late
Michelle
90s.
Trachtenberg. Yeah, isn't
Anyways,
that so sad about Michelle Trachtenberg though?
yeah, I did. It was so
She's just
sad. She's only
doing that
38,
again.
which is
Yeah,
young.
that's my age. Well, I just turned 39. So, and actually, April is the best month because my birthday is also in April.
My birthday's when's your birthday?
25th.
I'm the 9th, so
Yeah.
I first.
So,
It's the best month. It is the best month. And I feel so sorry for you people that weren't born in April.
Yeah.
So, I'm so sorry for you. But so one of my there's a podcaster, it's called Passion of the Nerd, and he talks about Buffy and Angel and like much of pop culture, like from an existentialist atheist perspective, and that kind of philosophy. And he did a whole thing where he bought a boat when he was younger because he thought it would be like a really good idea. And then he's like, why did I buy and he had a cat who was like so pissed off that he put him on this boat. And it was like the best thing ever. And I was like, see, I go, don't buy a boat.
Yeah. I guess if you buy a nice one though, you can kind of fix it up and sell it for more money, but
or you can be like Bezos and buy a boat and then want to have Sweden rebuild a bridge so you can get your boat through. Like that's a thing. So, I don't like. I used to go. Did you go fishing and stuff when you were growing up?
Yeah, I guess kind of, but I never wanted to touch the fish. I'm like really weird. I always thought that like the spines were gonna cut me and stuff. And yeah.
Okay, here you go. I'll make that chair. Thank you. Yeah, like it's so. I love you, honey. So okay, like my So like I went deep sea fishing and stuff. Like I've caught a marlin. I've caught a shark. Like I used to go like deep sea fishing when I was a younger person, and I didn't have a bad back. My dad was paying for it. So and now I don't really want to because I just like. I guess I developed too much empathy for fish or something. I don't know what happened. I think also too, like with the fishy thing, is that like fish freak me out. Like I think they're weird looking. Like you know how people are like, yeah, oh, I love aquariums, they're so peaceful. I'm like, they're not for me. Like that dead stare that fish have. I'm like, that ain't right. There's something wrong.
Yeah, I've always been kind of afraid of the water, like to go out too far, and like I don't know what's below my feet here, and it's kind of creeping me out.
Todd's like you and Todd in the same place. He's terrified of sharks, and every time like we go in the ocean, he's like, he's like, make sure like you're not like below your knees, you know, because then they're gonna bite your feet off. And I'm like, you live in Florida. So,
yeah, they had that at Disney there. I think it was like Typhoon Lagoon.
He just agreed with me from the other room.
Hey Todd.
Steve says hi. Hi. Go ahead.
But yeah, Typhoon Lagoon at Disney, they had like where you could swim with the sharks. So I was like, okay, I'll try it out because there's probably plexiglass in between. So I'm like swimming along and I'm like, yeah, there's definitely plexiglass. And I look down and someone's like goggles were hooked around the bottom of like a piece of coral. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I turn around, there's a shark right in my face. I'm like, get me out of here. And we're turning around and going back the other way. They're like, you can't come back this way and stop splashing around. It's going to make them bite you. I'm like, make them bite me. And I started like getting even wilder.
It made you panic more. So funny.
Yeah. And like pulled me out with like one of those, like, I almost felt like I was being like caned off of the stage. You know, they were pulling me out.
Yeah.
And my sister was just like, oh, whatever. And she's swimming through. And yeah, she was the brave one.
I think I'm not. Would I swim with sharks? Maybe. I don't know. Like it's one of those situations I think you have to be in to decide. Am I gonna swim with the shark?
Well, I think they were babies.
I swam with dolphins and stuff. Like I've done that, but I'm not worried about them trying to eat my face. So they would, because some of the dolphins are assholes.
Oh yeah. Well, But these ones were really tiny. Like, I'm sure they were babies. It's just, to me, I'm like, sharks, you know,
Your
just
brain, yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah,
it's going to eat my face.
yeah.
So,
And I'm thinking, and I should have noticed that there was millions of fish swimming around, and they would have been eating those fish if they wanted anything. But you know,
right, yeah, and it just very like I love sharks, and like kind of how I love like bears. Like I think they're great,
from a
but at
distance.
a distance,
Yeah.
like over there. like also too, I don't think we belong in the ocean. like we evolved out of it. We don't need to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
back into it.
That's like the old neighborhood, you know? Like, we don't want to be in there anymore.
Ms. Non Sequitur, did you like? I'm sure you heard the story where there was that dolphin that got very attracted to a lab assistant back in the '60s when they gave it LSD. That was a whole thing that Carl Sagan was involved in. Did you hear about this?
No,
About
I had no
the
idea.
LSD? Okay, this is great. So they were doing LSD experiments on like marine animals because they had like the bigger brains and stuff like that. And then, but also they were also like develop like trust with like the animal handlers and scientists. Like this one particular female scientist developed a relationship with this dolphin that was taking a lot of drugs. And the dolphin tried to copulate their relationship, and
Oh,
it
wow.
was, yeah, they are frisky biscuits. Yeah, they're frisky biscuits. Like they are frisky biscuits. And it was a whole thing. And Carl Sagan was really mad because they were doing all these like experiments on these dolphins, but it wasn't like real. Like it's kind of like if you took a bunch of college students and you told them to give drugs to dolphins and see what happens. And they were supposed to be doing this like research, and it was like there's a drunk history on it that's very good. Highly recommend. But it was a whole thing. And but they're frisky assholes. And also, they can I think there was one that kind of fell in love with a human person, but of course the human person was like, we can't be together because you're a dolphin. And it like committed like it unalived itself. It like drowned itself.
What?
And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, they do say that like their brains are like the closest to human brains, I think,
Oh
right?
yeah, he did. Yeah, she was giving him release often before he like did more. Yeah, that's what happened. I remember that. Yeah, but also they were doing the LSD thing. So
Yikes.
that was another thing they were doing. So there's a whole thing. Like, don't masturbate dolphins, guys. I think that's the moral of the story.
Oh man. I didn't think I'd be talking about dolphin sex tonight, but you know.
We started talking about sharks. Reels. We're talking about dolphin ejaculations. Hello, welcome to my podcast, everybody. Oh my God.
Too funny. Hey, Cosmic Kyle. How's it going?
Hey, have you bought some of Kyle's artwork for his? I have some space photography I'm going to put up in my bedroom. I'm going to eventually paint.
It's so cool. I definitely want to get something from him. That's
like,
really cool.
Hey, Kyle, plug your shit.
Kyle, you like, you know, like the artwork from my book in space or something? Or
Yeah.
I can show you. That would be really cool.
It would, yeah. Like, are we writing your second book?
Yeah. Well, actually, I do have an idea for a sequel.
Oh,
it's gonna be called Humanism at Hand: Practical Principles for Peaceful Partnerships. Because I like the alliteration, you know. But yeah, it's gonna be.
Okay, so go ahead. I'm sorry. I got to. I was calling out Kyle for being shy. Anyway, go ahead. Talk. So humanism from a hand. Okay.
Yeah, no. So the second one's going to be called Humanism at Hand: Practical Principles for Peaceful Partnerships, to kind of go into the same type of vein as my first one, Humanism from the Heart: Building Bridges Beyond Belief. So I really like the alliteration, so I try and continue with that. But so it's going to be more of like the hands-on, like how to have these conversations, because this one's more of like the background and like conversations and things that I've experienced throughout my life, and the next one's going to be more like how to put that into practice for your own life. And then in the middle of this, I'm writing another book called Preemptive Dadvice, and it's going to be it's for the expecting, sorry, for the unsuspecting expectant father. So it's like for people who, because a lot of times people will come to me and they'll be like, oh, my wife's pregnant. It's awesome. I'm still going to be able to go out to the casino and hang out with all my guy friends and do all this stuff. And I'm like, yes, someday and sometime. And, maybe your PlayStation will still be plugged in, but you won't be playing it anymore. Like that kind of thing. Right. So it's just kind of like
watching, you'll be watching Bluey.
Yeah. I love Bluey. Bluey's amazing.
Bluey's a best show. Like the Army episode and Hospital are two of the best episodes of that show. Like I watched that. I like, and if you smoke some Mikey tobacco and you watch the Bluey, it is the best show.
So I don't want to cry on your podcast here, but I'm gonna
don't cry.
Explain my favorite episode, which I actually bawled my eyes out on, and it's called Rug Island. So if anyone is wanting to go and cry themselves to sleep, Rug Island. I don't want to. Well, should I spoil it or not spoil it? I don't know. But anyway,
it's an 11-minute episode. So
because like the kids are playing on this island that they made in the middle of their yard, and their dad has to go to work. So they're like, "Dad, can you play with us?" And he goes, "No, I got to go to work." And they're like, "Oh," and they're very disappointed. But anyway, I guess he ends up canceling his day at work and stays home with them.
I don't know.
And then they have these pens, and they're like little pens, like an actual pen. And they're making them into all these different things. So they have a bunch together. They're using it to spear fish, and like some of them are fish, and some of them are other things, whatever. And it's like the whole day they're playing, and then the sun goes down, and then the mom calls in the dad and says, like, it's time to come in. And he goes, "I gotta go." And then she hands him something, and then he gets on this raft and goes all the way back home, which is just like literally 10 feet away. Mm-hmm. But then he opens up the cloth, and the mom says, "What did she give you?" Oh man, I'm gonna cry. And he says, "She gave me everything." And it's like this little gold pen. And I'm such a softie. I'm like bawling my eyes out. The kids are like, "Oh, that's so cool." And I'm just like, "Boo."
There was one episode, I think, I can't remember the episode, but like because my friend, one of my dear friends is a new mom. She has a 3-year-old, and I think, how old is Dorian? 9 months. So she's like a new mom, and she was watching the show. And like, and when you're a new parent, you're like, "Am I doing this right? Am my kids gonna be okay?" Like, and then the character it was the mom of the show talking to another dog that was an experienced mom. And looks into the camera and says, "You're doing fine." And I, even 20 some years on since I've had small children, I'm like,
You're like, "I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay."
I'm like, I'm a very good Auntie Ellen. I'm great Auntie Ellen. But it's more for adults, honestly. Like it has it's definitely looking at childhood through an adult lens, but you can watch it with like your 3-year-old, like, and it's very funny, and it is so cute. And there's also a fan theory that all the parents in that show are in a polycule, and they're all sleeping. They're all swingers, and they're all sleeping with each other. And I'm like, I love that. There's a whole Reddit devoted to it, and I'm just like, yes, I'm here for it.
Some of these conspiracy I can't even talk right now. Conspiracy theories about all these interconnected things within shows. I'm like right into that. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. When they come up with these little cool theories about how things are interconnected or whatever. I just love all that stuff. I think that's so cool.
I think there's because like, for example, Louis, it's really made for parents. It's made for parents of small children. And like, there's plenty of parents that are fucking their friends. So it's like, we put it together. It's fine. But also too, like, it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's nonsense that we're, because it's fun to like fall down these rabbit holes. Like, listen, do you know how much Lord of the Rings bullshit I know? Just random in my head.
Yeah. My kids, well, my son's into Harry Potter right now. It's like huge into Harry Potter. So he's
That
reading.
was the only book series my son would read when because he's not a reader. He's all like engineer brain, coding, video game. Like that's it's the way his tism has manifested. Does not, but he would read Harry Potter over and over again. I'm like, you're reading, fine, read books. Knock yourself out. Read all the books. And manga, like he would read like manga, but that was like his thing. And then like where my oldest, I started like my oldest is now at like a he day, so I started saying that I have two sons. So my oldest son is now doing like was more like the voracious reader and will still buy books and not always get to read their books. so many books.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in that boat too, where it's like people keep saying like, "Oh, you should read this book or read this book or read my book," and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah," and I'll buy them and they'll just sit on my shelf because I don't have the time. I wish I did.
David, if you're watching this, I am so sorry. Okay, so I bought all of David's books. Okay,
yep.
And I told him the next I will have him on when I finish all his books. I'm still halfway through the first book, and I've had these books for 4 months.
Maybe you guys will be in the nursing home when he actually comes back on.
I know it will be. Like I'm just so bad at like, and they're actually very good. Like he's a very good writer, and like this is because he explains things to me like I'm 5, and I was actually like laughing out loud at like the absurdity of some of the like the religious practices and like these fucking books, man. But I also have ADHD, and I get distracted.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just want to watch like the new season of Andor's out, and I gotta watch Andor. I got priorities.
Oh man!
So David, if you're watching this, then I'm so sorry. I love you.
We both love you, and you know I've actually read some of his older books, like Jesus, Myth, and Action, which is awesome.
I wanted to read Nailed because I just love the title.
But like it's so easy to read, like you said, it's like explains it to you like you're 5, and I'm like, oh, okay, this totally makes sense. But like sometimes I'll read like one line and then I'll go back and read the same line and then the same line again.
You do. I'm pretty sure you have ADHD because that is very much an ADHD trait. Like, because I'll read it and then it will fire neurons and get me thinking about something else that was related to the sentence I just read. And then I was like, what did I just read? And then I have to read it again. And then it will spark other things in my brain. That's why I'm on Adderall, so I can focus at work. But by the time I get home and on weekends, it's kind of worn off. And it's like, I don't like, it's kind of like having a superpower and a curse at the exact same time. Because it helps us, like we have vast interest in a bunch of different things, and we know enough that we can carry on a conversation with someone, but we can also say like, please don't listen to me, I am not an expert, I just know enough to get me by. Like but if you get me into like, you know, like hyper focusing, which I've done before on a bunch of different topics, usually pop culture. Not anything substantial. No, I've done a bunch of, I do hyper focus on a lot of psychological concepts and ideas. I'm very much interested right now I'm doing a lot of reading on dying in the brain. And there's a lot of new researchers coming out in neurochemistry about it. So that's kind of where I am right now. It's really, really fascinating. And I'm doing a lot of like actually reading papers about it because I'm a dork. So
that's cool.
And I'll hyper focus on that for a week and then I'll move on to something else.
Well, I just heard a cool hypothesis the other day that they said, you know, I don't know who they are, but you know, scientists have been doing studies on this, and they're saying like, you know, if time is eternal, so if time goes on forever, then there will be a time when this universe is created exactly the way that it is now. Like it's built on top of itself, like the way that it is now, like every atom is put together the way that it is right now, then we will live our same lives over again. And it probably will be the same consciousness because it'll be the same byproduct of the same materials that have been put together.
So it'll be the same brain.
Yeah, so technically we could live again, but it'll be the exact same life. So just hopefully you have
That's
a good
depressing.
life. Yeah.
Well, there's
like memory of the previous one. So
like there's that theory, like, you know, like I have green eyes, but in another universe, I'm having the exact same life. I'm having this conversation right now, but I have brown eyes.
Yeah, like I don't know.
You know, and it's just like
really makes sense to me. Like, I mean, it's possible. I mean, yeah, it's way beyond.
Because there's brown eyed people in my family.
Yeah.
So if the recessive gene hadn't turned on and the dominant gene had turned on for me to have brown eyes,
right,
it'd still be the same experience.
But then I go down the rabbit hole of like, okay, well then there is a universe that has a God in it, and it could be this universe, and then I'm like, oh shit.
But then, and this is another thing too, because like this is the kind of conversation we have as atheists, like, and like spitballing ideas. It's just like, okay, well, let's say there is a universe, there's a God exists. Is it the gods that we conceptualize of? Because is it Christian God, or is it like Odin, or is it Krishna, or is it because we're Westerners, so we have a Christian or Norse, like white people gods, and then if but is it going to be like a Nasi, which is a African American god? Like, which one's we talking about?
Yeah, I mean, there's 40,000 different branches of Christianity, as there is, right?
Yeah.
So, and they all have their own different version of.
It's the Mormons.
I would argue that.
Steve, it's the Mormons.
Yeah. And I would argue that every single religious person has a different version of God than the next one, because they all kind of come up with their own ideas of who this being is, right? So
yeah, so I think it's if there is a God, it's not going to be anything we came up with.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Because we tend to. This is the psychological and cultural and sociological impact of being a human being, is that we tend to create art and things out of things that we understand and conceptualize. And so it's not like, that's why like Toth has a bird head, because we, because these are things that we conceptualize within our reality. Like, I think if there is a God, it is not going to be anything, because it would have to be supernatural, again, outside of space and time. I don't know how that works, and not be anything that we can actually conceptualize. Because, like, have you seen the movie Pi? David Aronofsky?
I haven't seen it, no.
It's a very good movie. It's about this guy who does a bunch of math. And he's like a brilliant mathematician, and he proves God through math. What it does to him, it drives him insane.
Oh, okay.
Because everything breaks down after that, because like a lot of physics and everything rely on math, and there is this understanding within like physics that a God really can exist for physics to work the way that we understand it. So if God existed, that means it would break science. It would break the logic of how we understand how the universe works. So he goes crazy.
Yeah. It sounds like a cool movie. I should check it out.
It's a very good movie. It's dark. It's definitely not. It's not a feel good. David Aronofsky is not a feel good flick kind of person. If you've seen Requiem for the Dream, if you've seen Mother, he is not the type of person. You've seen Black Swan, which is one of my favorite movies.
Oh, I love Black Swan. Black Swan is amazing.
Yeah. So he did Pi. It was his first movie. I think he did it for $600,000. It had a very small budget. It's all black and white. It's all like a lot of handheld work. It's a very small, but it's like a case study. Like, if someone really discovered that God was real, what would it do to somebody? This is not belief anymore. This is like now a fact. This is real. Like, what would it do to somebody? And I'm like, oh, that was one of the first movies that I was like, But it's like, I would say, like, if you're gonna watch a David Aronofsky movie, it's not. You have to be in the right frame. You have to be in the right frame of space. Not like watching Captain America. So speaking of films and stuff like that. Since I've never asked you this question, what kind of like movies and stuff? Like what if you and I were going to have a movie night? What kind of movie would we watch?
Well, the movie that I always break the ice with everybody so they can see my humor is a movie called Slammin' Salmon. Have you ever seen that before?
I haven't even heard of that movie.
Okay, so if you've ever seen Super Troopers or you've seen like Beer Fest or Club Dread,
I've seen Super Troopers.
Okay, so it's the same cast. It's the same group of people. They're called Broken Lizard. But anyway, they filmed this movie about this restaurant which is owned by a former boxer. And the former boxer, his name is Cleon Salmon, so they call the restaurant the Slammin' Salmon. But he's like a Mike Tyson. Yeah, but he's like a Mike Tyson ripoff. So it's Michael Clark Duncan doing his best like Mike Tyson impression of like kind of saying like really out there things that don't make any sense. And just the antics of the restaurant and just the humor that's in it. Like at one point, there's a guy who's reading War and Peace, and he's reading it at the table, and the waiter comes by because they're having this competition to see who can sell the most food that night and get the most tips, because the boxer made a deal with the Yakuza in Japan that he could take more pygmy people on this island than they could, and they won. So then he owed them all this money. It's really silly, but it's so good. And so this guy's reading War and Peace at the table. And this guy comes up to him and he goes, so can I take your order now? Because the guy's been there for like 6.5 hours. And he goes, I'll just have hot water with lemon in it. So the guy goes, get the fuck out of here. And the guy's like, what did you say? And he goes, oh, you're reading War and Peace? Get the fuck out of here. I love that book. And plays it off. It's just so funny. Like the comedy in it is great. So I always play that movie as like an icebreaker for people who want to know what my humor is like. But I also like other things. Like Interstellar is one of my favorite movies. If you've ever seen that.
That is the only movie that Kai has cried to, and will still cry when like my kid. I cry at everything. I'm like you. Everything makes me cry. I'm a big old softie. It's the ADHD way. Like everything, I cry over everything. And but whenever we watch. Like I was just like, "Are you crying?" And they're like, "It's murder." And they start crying. Every time we watch it, they tear up. It's kind of like when you watch Up. Like if you don't tear up every time you watch Up, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Oh yeah. Jason Freer just said Super Troopers is his go-to for a laugh. So
that's a great movie. I like Super Troopers is a wonderful.
But so it's so funny because when you were just talking about, shedding tears and whatnot, every time I read out loud a piece that I'm working on or something, because I'm telling my wife like, okay, I'm going to read you this new chapter I'm coming out with for my new book. And it's so funny because it has nothing to do with like emotions or feelings or anything like that. And I get choked up by the end of it. I'm like, okay, stop for a second. This is so stupid. Why am I getting choked up over this? Because it's not even anything. And then she said, but it's from your heart. Like, that's the thing. It's like you're talking about all these experiences from your heart. So it's like, it's just going to tug on your heartstrings. I'm like, I guess so, but it's just so weird that I shed a tear every time I would say something.
There'll be random memories like through like my marriage or my kids' lives that it's just a random shit. Like my kids dressing up as pirates when they were like 6 years old, like 6 and 8 years old, and going to Rent and the Medieval Fair and chasing each other around. And I will just start tearing up. And I'm like, because I'm just like, okay, I'm like, well, I'm never going to have that again. But or like I'll have certain memories of like my marriage or I'm talking about like certain experiences I've had, and I'll just start crying for no reason whatsoever other than my brain just like you're just having feelings. But I cry over, like there's so many times where I'll be watching a movie and my Todd and Kai and if Andrew and when Andrew's home, they all look at me and because I'm like over here like I'm like, it's allergies. I'm fine. And they're like,
like
you got me a good musical score. I'm done.
My kids do the same thing. Like we were watching Wreck-It Ralph, and at the end they like hold him up because it's they're like raising him up to like cheer him up, whatever,
Yeah.
and like throw him off the building. And it's like, I know they're gonna throw him off the building because that's what they're supposed to do and whatever. But it's just like, it's such a happy moment that I just like, burst into tears.
And mine's the thing when he's like falling to the sky and he's like, I'm bad, but that's okay.
Yeah, I know. It's so weird.
Dumb.
Oh man.
Like, it's so dumb. I'm like, why am I having this emotional reaction to this stupid movie? like Kung Fu Panda. I've cried through so much of the Kung Fu Panda movies. Oh my god.
I know. And I'm like always worried when my kids want me to go to the movie theater. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna look like an idiot in the theater. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna be walking out of there like my eyes are red. Either high or I've been crying.
I was not crying at the live animation version of the Jungle Book. I was not.
And Non Sequitur just mentioned Encanto, and like it's those kind of movies where it's like there's a character where they've been seen as bad the whole time, but actually they were actually like good, you know, like they were, yeah.
Yeah, well, okay, listen. I definitely have problems with Disney. Okay, I do, but they always produce a good like a lot. Like Encanto is a wonderful movie. I have cried a lot, but because. Again, complexity, like, because this is actually how people are when we're talking, like, let's explain trauma to a 7-year-old through song and dance.
Yeah. Well, that's why, what's that one movie where it's like the emotions?
Inside Out.
Yeah, Inside Out. Like that perfect movies for explaining things to kids, you know, explaining how their emotions are and everything. It's just so cool.
Yeah,
that's
I think that's important because I love fairy tales. Like I'm not going to sit there and pretend that I don't, you know, especially if there's gothic fairy tales and there's death involved.
Yeah.
But I think that having stories about like Inside Out, about like emotions and how you know, how that they manifest within the person and giving it a personification. Because I like, there's a really funny thing in that movie, like the mom's driver is sadness. That's her main emotion. And I'm like, oh, as someone that has chronic depression, I was like, you know, and if you're, and even as a child, like you might not conceptualize it like the way that I would as someone that has major depressive disorder, as like sadness is the driver of the ship. And when I have to negotiate with my other emotions about how we're going to do things. But as a child, you can kind of get it on a subconscious level. And then as you get older and you watch the film again and you have more complex experiences and your brain develops, you're like, oh, you know, and you understand it from like that psychological sort of level that people have different people that are driving their ships, you know. So I like that. I really like that concept in that movie. It was subtle, but I was like, sadness is driving her boat.
Yeah. And in the second one, they make it so that like she's experiencing all the different emotions that a teenager goes through and stuff. It's a really cool concept. I
haven't watched the second one yet. I'm going to. I just haven't watched it yet.
Better than the first one.
I'll probably cry because I love the first one. Like I like that and WALL-E. Oh,
WALL-E, yeah.
Oh, I love that movie so much. I love that. I like every time I watch it, I turn into a weepy little puddle. But it also fills me with all that like wonder and all that good time feelings. I love it. It's fine.
Big Hero 6. Have you seen that one?
I have, and I did not expect that movie to fuck with me.
I know
the way that it did. I was like, it's gonna be like a stupid little hero, like a stupid little like Japanese anime Disney weird thing, and then it turned into this thing about trauma, and then like they're there.
Yeah, it's so good.
You are in mourning. You need these things, and they're like, you need human connection, and I'm like, oh no. I'm like, yes, you do. Yes, you do need human connection. Don't like I your friends. It's just like, but I think like, so like, back to your weird movie. Like, um, so what is your, okay, since we're talking about our sad movies, like if you want to cry like a fucking baby, what is the movie you're gonna watch?
That is a good question. I'd have to think about that one, I think, because I don't usually want to cry, so I think.
But like if you want a catharsis.
Yeah. I might have.
Like nobody, I don't think anybody wants to just sit down, watch a movie, and start bawling.
Yeah. That's a really good question. I really don't know on that one. I'd have to think about it because, like maybe Big Hero 6, just because it was so unexpected, like you said.
Yeah, it was.
Like I guess Wreck-It Ralph too, like, because that one just made me bawl like crazy. And the first time I saw it, I was actually in the theater with Cindy, and we were just watching it together. And she's like, "Are you crying?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Because it's so happy, and it's sad, but it's also happy, and it's whatever."
I know. I like. It's really funny. Todd doesn't cry a lot. You met my husband. Okay, like Life is Beautiful. I love that movie. That's another one. Also, Big Fish is another one that I'll bawl my eyes out at. I love Big Fish. That's such a like. I love that movie. Anyway,
McGregor is an amazing actor.
I would have his babies. I love him, McGregor. Like I was trying to tell my kid, like we were watching the prequels Star Wars movies. I'm like, we have to watch Obi-Wan because Ewan McGregor in that show is so fantastic. It's so good. Like some of the new Star Wars stuff, I'm like, I'm not like Acolyte. I'm trying, but like Andor's really good. Obi-Wan was good. Boba Fett was fine. Like we're dancing, but like Obi-Wan was like, loved it. Okay, so moving on from that. Okay, so like what was I talking about? How did I get to Star Wars? Oh, we're talking about Ewan McGregor. Okay, we're talking about Big Fish. That's how we got there. So like there's just these movies like Life is Beautiful or the Life Aquatic for some reason makes me cry because it's all about family dynamics and how certain family dynamics affect different people, and it has like a relevant humor, but Bill Murray's character is like this. Have you seen The Life Aquatic?
I don't think so. I remember seeing the cover of it, but I don't think I've actually watched it.
It's a very good film. But like he's in this family and he plays like this Jacques Cousteau character, that he's a marine biologist and stuff like that. But all this family's kind of like, kind of messed up. And even though he's part of like, this big family and he is very lonely. And it is, like I just thought it was like this really beautiful movie, and it makes me cry every time I watch it because it's like about like that lack of connection, even within family structures and stuff. So I thought that was really. If you're going to talk about trauma, I'll probably cry about it. It's a psychologist in me.
There was this movie that we watched. It was like one of those cheesy Hallmark movies back in the day, and it was like me and my family, my mom and my grandma and my sister watched it, and it was like about this stupid Christmas tree that gets cut down to become like the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree for like Christmas, and like the whole movie was just pumping up that this girl had this best friend who was a tree because she was an orphan and didn't have anything. And
anyway. My God, what? And she had, that would be so heartbreaking.
By the end, they were like, we need to take this tree. Like, this is the perfect tree for the Rockefeller Center or whatever. And she's just like, no, my best friend, or whatever. And she's like, and then it's like they take it. Then at the end, she's like I don't know. I think she's like older or something, but they like wheel her out to like see the tree at the Rockefeller Center. And I was like, done. I was done.
Oh, that's so I'm gonna call my husband out now. So if we watched the first new Star Trek movie, where Chris Hemsworth's wife is having, because he's playing Captain Kirk's dad, and his wife is having the baby on the pod, and they're talking about like, we're gonna name this, like, we can't name her Tiberius, like that's, and then like he's like crying because he can't see his child. He starts crying every time, and it's adorable, and I love it. Wow. He's like can't be with his wife, and he can't be with his baby. He's like he's doing the greater good, and it sucks.
Any movie where there's separation, where it's like, you know that they can't be together or whatever. I hate it. I can't take it.
I can't. No. Like at least like okay, like because he also cries it up, and like also if you do not cry it up, you don't have a soul. I'm convinced. Like you're a sociopath. What is wrong with you? But like I think that it's a life, and that's what makes it like, and it's just like 10 minutes of just images and music, and then you turn into a weeby mess. Because like whenever the intro comes on, I'm like, all right, like even the notes of that song, I'll be like, stop it.
And maybe that's our innate humanity too, right? From humanism, yeah. Like maybe we know this is the one life that this person's going to have, so it's like we want it to be good for them,
Yeah, I think because I think that you and I are both like connected on this. That I want you to be happy, like whatever that looks like to you, as long as you're not hurting anybody. Yep. I want you to be happy, and because this is the only life, as far as I know, that I'm going to get. As far as I know, I might be wrong. I don't think I am. Or if I'm in another universe, like I always say, like if I'm going to be something else, I'll probably be a paint can. I'm definitely going to be a tree because I'm going to feed a tree. My matter when I I want to feed a tree. But my molecules and abs, that's what I want to do for my burial. I want to be a tree. Nice. I think it's just beautiful, like in like a poetic sort of way, even though I won't be. Thank goodness I will not be there to experience a tree eating me, absorbing my nutrients. Thank goodness for that.
I just thought of a funny thing though to go along with that. If I ever do that, though, I'm going to put a little note on the tree somewhere that says, "So you come visit me now. You didn't visit me earlier."
Right. There's some really great at the there's the graveyard that's in New Orleans that somebody put on their grave that says, "I told you I was sick." Oh, that's so I'm like, I want to be that person. I want to be that like sarcastic bullshitter. I was like, oh, you're here now? Great. I'm like, and then now you're letting dogs pee on me. Anyway, so Steve, tell people where to find you and where to get your book, and I'll put the link also in the thing, and also anything else you want to like show.
For sure. So yeah, you can find my book at Amazon. Helen did post the link to that. You can find me on Facebook. I think that pretty much everyone in the chat is already friends with me on Facebook, but feel free to add me if you can spell my last name. It's
I wish I spelled wrong and I had to correct for this. Yeah. So what's even more embarrassing about that is that I kept going back and forth between your our like looking at your name and going back to like the spelling, and he still spelled it wrong.
Well, I should have just taken my wife's last name at our wedding. It was Jones, and I would have been Steve Jones. Oh, it would have been so much easier, but she didn't let me. She's very. So much easier. Well, I told her, I'm like, you're gonna have the Ghikadis curse, and she's like, what's that? I'm like, no one's gonna be able to know how to spell it. No one's gonna be able to say it. So it's so funny because she's like, no, it'll be fine. So she's booking our honeymoon before we're even married, and she goes, yeah, it's Ghikadis, GH, no GH, no G, G as in G, like George, and I'm like, yep, there you go. So anyway, yeah, you can find me. You can Google my name and it pops up with a whole bunch of things now. So I mean, yeah, wherever you want to find me, I will answer any questions, emails, chats, whatever.
Yeah. So and tell the people what you do with recovering from religion, and so we can show that, which is also it's part of the recovering from religion. Like it's also my resource parts of the doobly doo. So anyway, go ahead.
And there's actually a big fundraiser coming up for Recovering from Religion as well. We do it every year, and it's happening. You know what? I'm really bad because I think it's coming up this weekend.
Is it this weekend? I'll find out. Hold on. Let me go. I'm sure Jimmy has it on his channel. Yeah, I will go look. I'll tell you the date. You talk to the audience while I go look.
So it'll be on the line, and we have all these great guest speakers come and just talk about how much Recovering from Religion means to everybody, and all the resources that we offer. And usually there's some fun things like some auctions and stuff like that. And if anyone is familiar with Matt Dillahunty's tattoo of the cat that Seth Andrews drew, he drew that on the fundraiser, and Matt had to get the tattoo because we raised that much money. So if you can come on and help us out in any means possible, that would be great, because everything we do is completely 100% voluntary. And so I'm the Ambassador Program Director, so I train people to go out and represent RFR at events, and Helen has done so many events for us.
By the way, Dr. Ray is on the line right now, probably running the fundraiser. I just after you leave here, go watch Dr. Ray online. And yes, the RFR's third annual fundraiser will be the 10th, which will be Saturday at 3 p.m. So Eastern. So May 10th, go do money, do the thing.
Yep. And if anyone wants to buy my book, it's on Amazon. If you want to get if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read it on Kindle Unlimited for free. And then I think the Kindle version is a lot cheaper. So if you want to do that, go for it. And yeah, if anyone wants to reach out to me, just feel free, because I'm pretty approachable.
Yeah, he seems really nice. I want to hang out with him and call him my friend. And I'd be very sad we live too far apart to hang out more. And I want to be an Auntie Helen to his kids, and I can't. Because I am the best Auntie Helen. I'll get your kids into trouble.
I believe it.
I would. I'm the one that tells dirty jokes and tells you no, you can totally have you can totally have all the donuts for breakfast. I'm that person.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you, sweetheart, for being here. I'm going to buy your book, and you're I don't want to order it from Amazon, because I don't want then I don't get a signed copy. So I'll have to send you mine through PayPal or something, and then you can send me a copy, and then I can have it signed, and then it'll take me about 2 years to read it, but I'll have it.
Well, maybe it won't take you that long, because, like I said, it's really cool little tiny thoughts that go through. Yeah. It's 31 chapters.
That's perfect.
But the chapter is really short. There's actually 15 questions for deeper thinking in there, with some space to write about them and that type of thing. But
that's cool. I like that.
I have had a lot of people that actually they request it directly from me, and then I always feel bad, because it's the shipping is a lot. I actually shipped one to the UK, and I shipped one to Portugal. I shipped one to Germany. So it's it's a lot of money to do that.
Yeah, it is. It sucks. This is the thing too, because now Canada hates us, which is fair, by the way. By the way, I did not shame Canada for that, because we suck. But I'm always it's probably going to be a lot of money for shipping. I'll pay it, though.
I'm just going to say, though, we love the American people. It's nothing about you guys. We love you guys.
No, it's just that we have a very bad government right now. And I want, I feel like I have to apologize for my government. I'm so sorry. I did not move over to these people. I really love Canada. My mom's Canadian.
Yeah, I remember that. So the funny thing is that usually we're the ones that are sorry, and now you guys are.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh boy. Anyway, I'm so glad for your recent election, though, that you did not vote for buttheads. So good for you.
Well, yeah,
we can learn a lot from Canada, everybody. Oh, Canada.
Well, we'll have to get together whenever we can.
We will. We're gonna have to get. There'll be some kind of conference that we're going. I'm going to go to the American Atheist next year. That's my plan for next year. Yeah. But I also if I can get to Baja Con, I will try. It's one of those things that I'm like, I have to see how safe I feel flying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, like, yeah, I mean, we'll find a way to put you up and
Well,
everything.
we have to be in the same room and give each other hugs again.
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely.
as rules, like
Yeah.
and hang
Yeah,
out because like you're one of my favorite people and I miss you. So gotta be a thing.
And like we said, like I need a big Todd hug too, a big bear hug. So.
Yeah, he'll give you he loves giving all the Todd hugs. So
yeah.
All right, sorry. All right, good night, everybody. I should probably tell you who's going to be here next. So let me do that. Let me pull up my schedule. Let me do the shilling for my own damn show. Okay, so that is not the right calendar. Let me go to the other calendar. The ADHD is strong, everybody. I am so sorry. Okay, so my friend. No, I don't think Autumn's going to be here Monday. Okay, so next Thursday, Mary Fino Justice is going to be on the show, probably talking about her activism within the like outside the Amish community. So probably talking about that. She's an also amazing person. That's also wrote a book about being part of that community and breaking out of it. Also, it's an Art for Our Talk, so you should go check that out on the channel. And then, Emily from RFR is going to be here on the 22nd. So, so Emily will be here. Who's also another amazing human being from recovering from religion, is doing part of our ambassador team. There's a child. Hello, child.
Hello, Connor.
Hi, Connor. Hi. Hey, handsome. What kind of gummy chewing?
Smells like juicy fruit.
I was going to lose his flavor real fast.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me on. This has been awesome.
Thank you. Okay, you go be a father. All right. I love you.
All right. Love you too.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.